All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And today we're going to be doing a bit of gear review, and I'll do my best to channel my favorite Canoodlian when going through this. But this is actually something kind of unique and fun and kind of special, so I'm really excited to show you guys this. So without further ado, ta-da! Okay, so what is this? So this is the Xiaomi Mijia electric screwdriver, and it's a 3.6 volts with the 5 Newton meters of force. And that's pretty much all we got on here. And taking a look at the packaging, this is actually a little more interesting than it might initially appear, because you'll note that pretty much apart from this one little, not IDF, but design award badge, that's pretty much the only thing on here that's actually in English. And if we take a look at the back there, you can all see that. There's, more interestingly enough, and maybe a little bit dicier than I originally thought, there is no UL or CF sort of certification. There is some manufacturing information and Xiaomi's address and a phone number, and some just general specifications on the back. But all of this, as you can see, no English whatsoever, because this particular product is not really designed for the US market, it would seem, which is really unfortunate, because for what it is, it's actually really well designed and actually very well. We'll get into it here, but I'm really excited to pop this open here in a sec. And as you'll see, I've already unboxed this, so there's no surprises for me, but all surprises for you. And just to clarify what this is a little electric screw choocher. It's a handheld electric screwdriver. It's not a drill, it's not an impact driver, it is an electric handheld screwdriver. Without further ado, let's crack into this thing. So, very simple packaging. There actually, as you can see, there isn't any, I didn't remove anything really except for the plastic inner packaging, but there's no tape or anything. And it actually comes in this little inner sleeve pizza box style thing here. And the other nice thing is it comes with a hard shell case, and it's just a little plastic cardboard, or like nylon on like rigid cardboard kind of inner core sort of thing. But it's nice that it comes with that, like instead of just kind of out by itself, which is something else I appreciate. And let's get that zipper action very smooth. All right, and what we have in here is a little instruction card. Again, nothing here in English. This is strictly a domestic market product, it would seem. So I didn't really pay too much attention to that. There's some pictures here that kind of give you a general sense of the thing, but honestly, operation and charging is so easy that you don't really need it. Although, again, the lack of safety information or any sort of certification specs mentioned anywhere is maybe a bit off-putting for some. I personally think that, you know, a charger is a charger and it's using all the same parts, but that might be a factor for you. So we'll toss that off to the side here. And then here is the unit. And this is what sold me on this. It's so clean, it's so minimal, and everything is kind of self-contained. And I would argue that honestly, if you do not have any tools of any sort, like a hand drill or a cordless drill of sorts, this may not be your first buy. But I'm looking at this in relation to whether or not this should be in your gear bag. And after spending a couple of weeks with it, I would argue that it does. And we'll get into that in a second. But let's pop it out of the case here and kind of take a look at what all is going on in this little choocher here. And unfortunately, you might be able to see some of my thumbprints, so I apologize for that in advance. But you'll notice very minimal. There's not really any tooling marks. This is actually a screwless encasement, and you can see there there's a bonding line there, and I believe there's some internal toolless clasps that kind of merge this together, that or maybe it's sonically welded or some other such thing. But it is just beautifully complete, and this is metal. This is not cheap plastic. And that brings me to my next point. This whole kit's about 40 bucks. And there are a number of just kind of, like, there are a lot of electric screwdrivers that kind of fall in that price range, but none that I've really found that have this kind of finish. Like, a lot of them have that kind of cheap transformer-y look. Lots of bright plastic, very cheaply made. This one is just nice and minimal and sleek, and it all kind of, I love how it just all fits together in that. You can tuck it away in a cupboard or in your tool bench or your kit bag, and it all just, you know, this isn't even a foot square. This is probably like 5 inches by 5 inches. I think I haven't actually measured. And then the other thing, just moving along here, that you get in the kit is just kind of a basic set of bit heads. There's nothing too special about these. You've got some Torx bits there and a couple of hex heads. I actually did find that the hex heads that came with this actually did work with my little M8 socket head screws on my board, which is another story we'll get into here in a moment. But I also did appreciate that they included the extender in there in case, because essentially what this is designed for working in smaller and harder to reach spaces one-handed, and so being able to have a little extra reach is nice. And the fact that they, you know, like, I mean, it is standard to include like the bits with any sort of cordless drill or anything, but I do appreciate that it's got this nice little minimal, again, snap case, like not a lot of branding. It's got this kind of semi-transparent, like, I could go on and on. Like, I really do appreciate the design philosophy that kind of went into this whole thing, and I could go on and on about that. But let's talk a little more practically here about why I'm a little more excited about this than I probably should be. So this by itself has an Allen type, I don't want to say chuck, but mount there, and I don't know if you can see it, but there we go. There's a magnetic mounting base in there, and it'll fit standard Allen key bits. And why that is important here is because this is my normal screwy mobob. This is just your standard Wera quick release driver, handle and driver, detachable driver set, if I'm saying that right. And so those pop out of there like that, and you'll notice something a little familiar there is that, yes, that is an Allen key type, and that fits right in there. And so now, not only do I have the extended reach, but I also have the precision Wera tips. Getting all tongue-tied here. So that goes in there like so, and I want to just show you how tight and like how appreciative, like there is some slop here. There's not even like, I want to say like a 1/4 of a millimeter of wiggle here down in the base, which when you're going at it you notice a little bit, but it's not too bad, and especially if you're not doing like real precise machine operations, like it's not a big deal. But let me see if I can pick this up. Actually, I'm wearing the lapel mic, so I'm going to show you how close this is. Of course, right when I pull it away. But it's actually so tight in there, like the tolerances are so close that there's a little pop when you pull it out because it's sucking the air back in. And that's just like a level of quality that I did not expect for what is essentially just a handheld electric screwdriver from China. And so moving on from there, like, let's actually take a look and see how she chooches here. But before that, real quickly, so there is, let's see if we can pick it up. There is a 3-way switch here, And interestingly enough, so when there's no off position. When it's in the middle rocker position, a little flashlight function, which is kind of interesting. And then you have lefty-loosey and then righty-tighty. And that's about it. So that's actually brings me to my first complaint with this, is that for some other models, you do get a few more features in terms of like things like over torquing control and ratcheting, which this does not have. It'll just torque until it can't go anymore, which I guess is a form of over torque protection. But yeah, like it'll go, and then it'll give you a little suggestion that you can't go any further with it, but it doesn't include ratcheting or an adjustable chuck or anything. And then, as you may have noticed, the trigger on this guy, there's no variable speed control, it just goes. But for all that, I still think it's a nice little solid piece, and for $40, exceptional like visual piece here. And the other thing that I'm just now thinking of is the biggest selling point to this for me, and it's one of the things that I've been trying to be more mindful of in my gadget purchases, and that's the USB-C charging. That's right, it has USB-C. Now, it doesn't support fast charging, as I found out, unfortunately, but it is a electric screwdriver with USB-C charging, and I'm trying to get all of my gadgets and gizmos and laptops and whatever onto USB-C. So no more micro USB, no more lightning. It's just having that one cable base. And maybe I'm crazy, but I find that the fact that this has USB-C is a real selling point for me in terms of just simplicity. Now, the thing that I guess is kind of a neutral point, so I actually forgot to put it back in the case, but this is the cable that comes with it. And you can see it's not real long there. I definitely could have done with something a little bit lengthier, but I suppose they're thinking, you know, like if you're buying this, you've probably got a longer USB-C cable. And the fact of the matter is that I don't, because I do have a longer USB-C cable, but I don't have any. I only have one non-fast charger. And the cable, and this is pretty much the only cable I have for that, for USB-A to USB-C. So I would have liked a slightly longer cable, but I guess I do also appreciate that they even included it in the box in the first place. So that's a wash for me. All right, so we've been chatting for enough here. Let's actually pop something apart. And I honestly had to dig through a lot of my stuff just to find something to unscrew that like either wasn't in use or, you know, like wouldn't be a problem getting back together again. And these are actually some pretty fine threads on here, or some pretty fine Phillips head screws. So, and she'll get right in there. Oh yeah. Is this ASMR yet? It's actually backed out there. I was kind of holding it. And this is actually kind of, they're standoff screws, so it's actually coming away from the case before it's actually pulling out of the, there we go. And if you're wondering about how quick she'd work there we go. Let's just back that one out all the way. It's really down in there. It's still in there. A little bit more. There we go. And she's loose. All right. So, again, it does the pop. Now that I'm not holding it, I hope that picked it up. But, all right, so let's, and also, just a little bit of a gear flex here. Yes, I do have the entire Wera driver set, and it is glorious. I highly recommend you pick this setup for yourself if you're looking for something for your kit bag there. It's just great to have around, and you don't have to be searching around for different drivers or have a million handles sticking out of your workbench or rummaging around in the drawer floor. I really do like Wera. And I love this no-slip handle too. But we're not talking about this. We're talking about this. So, why would you, and when I say why would you, the e-skating aficionados, have this in your kit bag at all? And why am I even talking about this on this channel? And to answer that, I'd probably have to flash up a picture of the Great Horned Beast, the Kali Komodo build, which I just finished, which has not even 6 or 9. I believe it has 24 mounting points for M8 for the little countersunk M8 screws to fix the enclosure to the body. And after sealing that thing up and opening it again no less than 3 times, I was really already kind of plumbed for a product like this. And one of the good friends on the forum, Jeff, was sharing some pictures of the assembly line that his factory has in China. And this popped up in one of the pictures, and naturally I was like, ooh, what's that? And that's how I found out about this. And I have to say, so there are 2 main selling points for this for me personally. The fact that you can quickly and easily go through 20-something screws without breaking a sweat and retighten those screws to the exact same tension every time was a game changer. And now the other thing too was, once I had this thing up on the bench, or the office chair, as it were right now, because I can't really get the shared office, being able to work one-handed with this thing was also fantastic. Being able to tighten down grub screws or disassemble motor mount brackets, that was fantastic. So for that aspect, I love it. Now for some other folks, that may be a little bit outside of what your normal use case is, and that's fine. But the other thing that I was looking at is all those boosted riders out there that are hot swapping batteries, or maybe you're getting the X-Way now. This is under a pound. This is 0.7 pounds, or I think it's like 315 grams. So you can pop the little Allen head bit in there and put this in your gear bag, and you can get in there and, of course, they're off. You know, those mounting screws right off of the battery, and you're not having to worry about, you know, if you're on a group ride, or, you know, you just ride long distances for whatever reason and you have another extended range battery. This is a great accessory to have in your kit bag. Now for the DIY crowd, this is a real specific kind of use case, but I love it that, like, I don't keep the Cryobi up on the workbench. It's down in the garage, because when I actually need a full-size drill is very few and far between. So having this thing, and like I said, having the little case, you know, that just tucks away, and being able to reach in and pull this out and just, you know, pop a bunch of screws off of an enclosure or tighten down some motor mounts or what have you, without having to lug out and then see if the batteries are still charged on the full-size hand drill, is fantastic. And the fact that it charges off a USB-C is obviously great as well, because then I don't have to worry about having a big bulky charger, finding, you know, the barrel jack charger for like a specific device. Like, no, like this, it's all self-contained, it's all nice and neat, and I don't have to have a lot of big clunky tools taking up space on my bench or in my storage cabinet. And that's kind of what the main appeal was for me. So whether or not this is something that you'll need in your kit is something you'll have to decide. But as far as a recommendation goes, like, I really don't have any big complaints about this thing, other than maybe, you know, like there's certainly more powerful drivers out there, but honestly, I think that's the best I can say about it. There's no man behind the curtain right now with a gun to my head telling you to tell this thing is fantastic, because honestly, it's got some little gribbles to it. But if you're looking for a kind of unique piece of gear that's gonna complement your kit, I would definitely give this a recommendation. and you can check out the link down in the description to get one of your own. I got this one off of Amazon, and I'll provide a non-affiliate link for that. I would assume you could probably find these on AliExpress for cheaper. I paid about 40 bucks, but I don't know if I would really mess with it, international shipping right now. But yeah, so until next time, ride safe, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Later.